Good afternoon, Ravi.
Hey, hi, good afternoon, guys.
Very well, good afternoon.
Yeah, good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, guys. Too much important. If anybody is attending the interviewer definitely will ask how we are implementing what is that security in what our microservices. Then you need to give the reply like today's session, today and tomorrow session. Only you can answer, right? You can answer last whatever the concept will be the same only, but little bit differences will be there here. Little bit what differences will be there, friends. So just only one things, if anybody is asking what is that web based means client and server communication, if there where the stateful our application is be having based on that stateful, right? In their security concept is different. And whenever we are talking about the distributed application, their security concept is different. Same things will be there, but some extra things will be applied here. Some extra things will be applied here. So be careful, learn the things, okay? And this one will help you in the interview as well as what the surviving the job also. Because except these whatever session I'm delivering, except that if the your programmatically a project requirement is there, same like in the project also people are implementing, nothing extra, nothing less, nothing extra, nothing less, okay? So listen carefully, understand the things. If any doubt is there, ask me, I'll resolve it here itself only. Because the live session, why we are taking the live session? Because one-to-one interaction will be there right here. After then after watching that what is that YouTube videos, right? If any doubt is there, then you people will not able to ask there, right? Again, if you are asking in the group, then one day one person was asking, right? See cron expression, already this whatever his question and whatever his doubt is there, based on that example I took on that day. I don't know why he don't want to watch that videos. Again he's asking in the group, even he's messaging me personally also. What is the use, yeah? Because of you people only I'm uploading the video. Otherwise what is the use to upload the video on YouTube? Nothing. I don't want what is that publicity and all those things. So how much I'm earning, how much I have the knowledge, that is the sufficient to surviving my life, okay? So the thing is, if accept those things, right? Whatever I'm not explaining in the session, except that your doubt is there, definitely I'll resolve it, okay? Even I will give the reply. Even you see on that day servlet, you know, servlet's doubt is not my student doubt, right? He is taking somewhere the classes and he's asking, right? But why I resolve that? Because he's just new learner now. Because first application, just what was the date API date generating the date only, right? See, that is the first application is doing. That's why I said okay, let it be, that help them. So
Ravi, I have a question.
yeah,
Sorry. So JWT token is used for can be used for monolith application or just it used for only for the
monolithic application also, as well as what is that microservices application also, both.
okay.
If your monolithic application is there, what if your application monolithic application is there, restful services, right? Restful services, there you
Right.
can use it, there you will use it. Or if or you can use in the microservices also, okay? So
Okay.
now don't worry, your doubt will be clear now only. Once if I start explaining those things, your doubt automatically will clear. If still your doubt is not clear, ask whenever I'm completing the session, right? At the time, if you have the doubt again, then ask me, I will clarify those doubt. But until unless if I'm not completing that things, like if your doubt is there, keep yourself only doubt, right? End of the session if you ask, right, then I can at the time I have the example also, because already I explained na, I can tell see this here, we are implementing those things, see this here, there your doubt will be clear. But initial, just if still if I'm not starting session, if you are asking how I can tell, right?
Got it. Got it.
So now let's start the session, friends. Let's understand the things one by one, and slowly we will understand, because these things is the um, very important concept. Okay, this concept is a very important concept, friends. Okay, but as you are saying that JWT security, this JWT security is a very complicated security implementation, right? Very complicated implementation is there, but I'll try my level best. Okay, I'll divide this one also in the multiple parts only. And one more things, don't worry about that. We used the right Spring Security ORM. Don't worry, I'll create a new application again, end to end. Again, I will develop in right again. I will, even though some codes is there in this ORM framework, like layers concept, I will use the same only. But don't worry, those concept also again I'm going to develop it front of you people only. But just only one things, guys, focus on these area, right? Focus on these area. At least if you guys are not able to understand, sorry, if you guys are not remembering total end to end flow, don't worry, but some concept I will tell. Okay, please remember those concepts, because once if anybody is facing the interview related to microservices, if the security concept, if the interviewer will ask security things, definitely he want to know that, right? Those things. That's why I'm initially only I'm saying that. And one more things, guys. Okay, for time pass purpose, if anybody came here, if then leave now only, right? Leave now only, because today I'm planning to take the long session, and I want the same strength till I'm explaining the session. In between, if you have the work, I have also work, right? I'm compromising so many things in the weekend, but still I'm taking the session. Why? Only one thing's dedication, and dedicate yourself. And if the people having the same strength, right? How long I'm taking the session, if the people having the capability to sit in the session till now, then those people only. Otherwise, leave now only. Leave now only, because JWT, why? More brain is required, more concentration is required, and more dedication is required, right? So I want what is that same dedication and same concentration from everyone. So if anybody is thinking about that, okay, Ravi is uploading the videos on YouTube now, I'll watch it there. Okay, so now only leave. Now let's begin the session, friends. Okay, so Spring Security. So the thing is, okay, let's start the session now, guys. So here what? Just stateful behavior. When our in our application stateful behavior will be there. Just what is that? Just what is that? Server application is there, right? Server application font is good, friends. Everyone, my font is visible to everyone.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
visible.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here what is that? Browser is there, right? Here browser is there. Here browser is there. Browser is there. Whenever browser is making the request, as just think about that login request, right? Logging request. Whenever end user is making the request to what? Login request to whom? To whom? Our application, right? To whom? Our application. That is the application now. That is, this is application, right? In to whenever our end user is making the request, right, to our end user, making the request as a login, right? As a login. So what will happen now? What will happen now in the server side? What will happen now? One session will create or not? Come on, one session will create, right?
Yes.
Yes.
One session will
Yes, yes.
create. Where this session will create? In the server side only, right? In the server side only. But this application is which kind of application now? This application is which kind of application? Web application, where the end user and server communication will be there. Where the end user and server communication is there, right? Come on.
Yes, Ravi. Stateful application.
Yeah,
Yes,
where
stateful.
end user and what is that? Server communication is there. Based on that end user request, what will happen in the server? In the server, what will happen? One session will create, right? One session will create. Okay, good. Now, but whenever we are So talking about the distributed application is nothing but what? Microservices application. Microservices application are in the monolithic architecture. What is that? Just normal REST application only, right? REST application, just assume that, right? Whenever 1 minute.
Ravi.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just 5 minutes, friends, right? Just 5 minutes. Actually, I have
Okay.
some just not 5 minutes, just 2 minutes only, right? 2 minutes.
Yeah.
minutes.
Okay. Ravi. Fine.
Yeah,
Fine.
2
Go
minutes.
ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. Please carry on.
Hey, sorry, friends. Sorry, actually. Now
Yeah.
let's
Okay. Ravi.
continue. Yeah, let's continue. So, okay, fine. So here, what is that? Whenever the browser is making the request, right? Whenever browser is making the request, what will happen in the server side? What? Based on that client, right? Based on that client, what will happen now? One session will create, right? One session will create. Okay, fine now, guys. So whenever we are talking about that microservices application, right? So whenever we are talking about that microservices, just assume that what will happen now whenever we are developing our microservices application, right? Whenever we are developing our microservices application, just what is that? The same application we are distributing in what? Multiple server or not? Come on. Same application we are what we are doing now, same application we are distributing in what? Multiple servers, right? Multiple servers. multiple servers, and what will happen now between what is that here, what is that load balancer will come, right? Come on, here what load balancer will come. Okay, just I'm giving, right, what is what I'm trying to say now. So here what is that, here just assume that here what is that your client is making the request. Here your client is making the request, just here what server 1, this is what server 1, right? Here server 1, and here what server 2, server 2, server 3. 3 servers are, just assume that what 3 servers are there, and here what is that load balancer server is there, LBS. LBS register, right? LBS registry is there, LBS registry is there. Okay, just assume that, right? So here what, just assume that here what our browser is making the request for what login, right? If login, if a browser is nothing but what client is making the request, if client is making the request to what is that, the request will come our load balancer server, right? Load balancer server. And in this, if the if application is distributed in what multiple servers, right? If application is distributed in multiple servers, right? So just assume that if stateful behavior, if in our distributed application, in nothing but what in the REST application, what is that this client is making the request, right? This client is making the request. Whenever he is making the request, right? If we are implementing what is that stateful behavior in our microservices application, in microservices application or what RESTful application, right? Then what will happen now, every time whenever the browser is making the request, right? This is not like, this is a not who is the deciding where the request will come, where the load factor is less, where the load factor, we don't know, right? We don't know which server, which our load balancer will process the request in which server, we don't know, right? In we don't know in which server, in which server our load balancer will process this request, which one is making the request, what is that, the browser, right? Browser. So just assume that. So the same application, whenever we are distributing in the multiple servers, just assume that based on that one end user, if in every server, right, in every server, if we are creating the, if we are implementing the session, that is the good approach or bad approach? Bad approach. Because here what is that, see, client can be multiple based on that client, because here only one server is there, right? Because here what only here what here only one server is there, right? Here one server is there. Based on that, what is that client in a only one server, what is that, based on that client, what is that session will create, right? But just assume that here what is that same application is distributed in multiple server, right? Multiple server. For every server, if session will create for the in every server, what is that session, if session will create for only one browser, that is the burden of burden is there or not in the server? Come on. Because in the runtime, because we don't know in the runtime our load balancer will, what is that, process in which server, right? Request will process in which server? Come on. That things will decide our LBS, right? That things will decide our, what is that, load balancer. Or just assume that, okay, we just implemented what is that stateful behavior in this application only, right? In this application, and this one, and in this one we not implemented. And what is that, if in the runtime our load balancer is making the request, and here what will happen, then what will happen, there is no session, then what is the use of the things will work? No. Because just we implemented, what is that, session management in this server only. In this server we not implemented, in this server we not implemented. And a load balancer, if run in the runtime, what is that? If load balancer is making the request to this server too, then here we implemented what is the session, then that is the fine. Just assume that again he is making the request, and in this time what is that? Our load balancer is processing the request to server one only. Then what will happen? Then problem is there or not? Come on. Then problem is there or not?
Yeah, redirect to login page. I think.
So in this, yeah, so in this situation, what we will do it now, we will not go to what is that session based, what is that session based authentication. In this case, what we will use, JWT concept. In this situation, what we will use it, we will use what is that JWT token based authentication, right? In this situation, what we will do it now, friends, we will use what is that JWT token based authentication. We will go to what, to token based authentication implementation of our microservices, right? Clear?
Yes, Ravi.
So
Yes, Ravi.
Yes,
yeah,
Ravi.
yeah.
Yes,
So
Ravi.
now fine, guys. Okay, so microservices, 1 minute, I'll increase the font now. Yeah, so microservices are implemented using what is that load balancer, right? Load balancing, and they are distributed. They are distributed, right? They are distributed. In this case, one app, one application or one module, right? One module is nothing but, anybody remember that initially only one module equal to one microservices, right? Come on.
Yes.
One
One service.
microservices, right?
Yes, Ravi.
Might be running as what is that multiple. Multiple server instance. Multiple server instances, right? So creating one session in all server instances not possible, right? Come on. So creating one session is possible. Creating one session in all server is it possible, friends?
No, no.
No, Ravi. Not
No,
possible.
right? Not possible, right? Creating what is that? Creating what? One session in all server instances is not possible. Creating one session in all server instance is not possible. Creating one instance in what is that? Creating one session in all server instance is not possible, right? Not possible. If every if do manually, one by one, login, then user has what is that? User has to log in multiple times, right? Because see, if we are implementing right in every server, so whenever our end user is making the request, right, whenever our end user is making the request, then what will happen now? Until unless he not logged in, right, in until unless he is not logged in, right, this server will not give the response. Again he's making the request. In this time our load balancer is deciding to go to what is that, second server. Then what will happen? Again we need to what, log in. Then what will happen now? Then the server 2 will be utilized, right? Then server 2 will be utilized, right? So session management is not suitable for what? Then session management is not suitable for what, friends? Microservices application, right? Microservices application. So session management is not possible or suitable. Possibility is there, but suitable, that is not suitable things, right? Suitable for what? Microservices. Microservices application. Microservices application. Better to what? Better go for what? Better go for what is that? Token management. Everything is good, friends. Network issue is there.
Yeah, now it's fine.
Okay, so better go for what? Token management, right? Token management. So what is that? If we issue, right, just assume that first time what will happen now, our end user is making the request, then we will use what is that? We will write some code in what? Microservices. That microservices, first time what will happen now, he will log in with that credential and the request will go to what is that? LBS. And in that what is that? This server will logged in, right? This server is login, and here what will happen now? That server will generate one token, and again this token will give to whom? End user. Again this end user want, right? If end user again want to communicate with what? Microservices, then what will happen now? Then again he will start to making the request to what? Our microservices. And in this time what will happen now? This load balancer will take the request, and he maybe just assume that in this time our load balancer is making the request to what? Server 2. In this time what? Our load balancer is making the request to server 2. In this time what is that? Then this client will make the request with what is that? That token, and this server will validate that token. And that if the token is not expired, right? If token is not expired and if token is valid, right, then what is that? Then this microservices will give the services to what? End user. Then this microservices will give to what? Then this microservices will give the response to what? End user, right? So if a token issues issued by what? One microservices. One microservices can be validated by what? Even other microservices. Even other microservices, right? Other microservices. It is not a complicated, right? Or complex process. Complex process, right? Complex process. So let's first, what is that? Let's understand how we can generate what? Token. So everyone is ready to see that one now, friends? because
Yes, sir.
now everything is depending on what? Everything is depending on what? Now with this explanation, what is that? Everything is dependent on what? JWT, right? Token. So first let's understand how we can generate what? How we can generate what? Token, right? Come on.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So
Yes, Ravi.
let's what is that? Let's understand first what, how we can generate the token. So the last weekend just we saw that, right? Just we started, right? Token JWT, this one only we will use it, and we will see that, right? We will see today, we will see these things as what is that programmatically, how we are implementing and how the token is look like, right? Come on. So everyone is ready for that, friends?
Yes, Ravi.
Yeah.
Yes, Ravi.
Okay, so now just what is that? Let's core Java style only we will do. First, what is that? First, we will do these things as a core Java style only, friends. Okay, simple only. So now what I'm doing now, I'm going to take what is that one, just a normal Maven project I'm taking, right? Just Maven project only I'm taking. So here what I'm doing now, create simple new, just what is that, let's take what is the test class only, right? Our test project, right? So something test only, test application. So leave it other things, or no group. Okay, forget those things. Okay, just create that things. How much time it's taking now?